The follow-up to 2019's The Witcher was an inevitable one, having been renewed for another season before the first one had even made it to screens. I'd been sitting on the events for the season for a couple days now, trying to figure out if I enjoyed the season or not. And if I'm being honest, I don't really know. I've played the games and, ironically, taken The Witcher's story as a main source of inspiration for my own work. It's ironic because here I am about to tear this story apart. The season starts off with Geralt emerging from the mist, looking cool as fuck, pulling Ciri around on Roach. He's looking for Yennefer, but can't find her because... So off they go to KAER, MORHEN, a hideout for witchers every winter season. They don't make it that far before it's nightfall, probably because Geralt chose to walk his horse. Luckily, Geralt has an old friend, Nivellen, that lives nearby. They show up, the man turns out to be cursed by a priestess, Ciri tries to drown herself, and there's something watching her from the walls. Geralt wants to scout the property to ensure it's safe, but Ciri's like, nah, it'll be fine. Geralt doesn't like her attitude or something and talks about his frustrations to his horse before noticing a mysterious set of footprints that disappear. I wonder if this would have any sort of connection with the eyes that were in the attic. Through a drinking game, Geralt figures out that Nivellen is hiding something, that something being Verena, and Verena being Bruxa. It's sort of a bug-like vampire type. It doesn't really matter. Geralt kills her because there's 7 more episodes in the season that he needs to be in. Killing the Bruxa breaks the curse that really had been placed on him because he raped the priestess, to which Geralt tells him to kill himself, and that's the episode. Yennefer is alive, by the way. After a quick establishing shot, Geralt and Ciri arrive at KAER, MORHEN. There we meet Vesemir, Lambert, Cohen, and Eskel, just returning from hunting Aleshi, a tree god, I guess. He complains about his shoulder hurting. Trust me, it's important. And now we're back with Yennefer. Remember this guy from the second episode of the first season? Philivandrel? Yeah, he's back now with some lady elf named Francesca. Yennefer has some weird dream with a robed figure. Turns out, Fringilla and Francesca also had similar dreams, so they dig open a tomb, believing it to belong to an elder god, and try to make contact with the peaceful god.
What happened to him?
One of the oldest monsters, a demon.
Oh.
Bound her deep in the forest.
Oh no. Francesca and Fringilla strike up deals with the Deathless Mother. Francesca wants a baby, and Fringilla wants power. But Yennefer doesn't make a deal, because... I don't know. Later that evening, Eskel and Geralt clash after KAER, MORHEN is flooded with, ladies of the night. This is an interesting direction the story is taking. Eskel grudging against Geralt and Ciri can make for some great character moments, growth, and really bring a nice spin on the season. Unfortunately, none of that happens because Eskel turns into a tree and dies. Uh-oh. The episode ends with Geralt beginning to train Ciri because now they gotta watch out for tree monsters or whatever. Yennefer has no magic, by the way. The episode picks up what I assume is a week after the last. Ciri's bettering in her training, the other witchers are still mourning Eskel's death, and the hunt continues for Eskel's Leshy. Ciri is trying to take her training to the next level, so she runs through a ninja warrior course, as Geralt and Vesemir take Eskel's body and feed it to wolves. That seems peaceful. After getting beaten up, bloodied, and injured, Geralt allows Ciri to follow some feeling she's... feeling? And follows her like a compass to Eskel's Leshy. There's a brief fight scene, some lightning-fast reflexes, and the Leshy is killed by another monster. Ciri flees from the monster, they make intense eye contact, and Geralt does what he does best. Yennefer is at Aretuza now. Stregobor, remember this guy, raises the question of Yennefer's trust. She was in the company of Nilfgaard, and he believes her to be a spy. Naturally, she sacrificed herself for everybody and nobody trusts her. They also still got that guy in a cell, who's got a beard now. Oh yeah, Yennefer also has to kill him to prove her loyalty. Yennefer doesn't kill him, by the way. Now we've got 3 different storylines rolling, because we're now following the development of Cintra with Francesca and Fringilla, because as long as they work together, the Deathless Mother will give them what they want. Remember this. We pick up when Geralt and Ciri run into Triss while training. Turns out Geralt actually invited Triss to help assist Ciri in her power. They look into the creature he slayed in the previous episode, concluding that it's not a species that should exist, nor one that was created by a mage. What they do learn is that the creature was covered in stellacite, a blue rock only found in monoliths. Monoliths have apparently been around since the conjunction of the spears. The conjunction of the spears is what brought monsters to the world. That's not important. What is important is that they can't fall over, but apparently Ciri can make them fall over. So, Triss portals Geralt to Indrid to inspect the Sintred monolith she toppled. Vesemir also picks flowers now. Extinct flowers. Flowers that can create new witchers. Flowers that only grow where elder blood is spilt. Blood that came from Ciri. Now we're with KAER and Yennefer as they're on the run. So, they get help from the Sandpiper, Jaskier, to get them on a boat, which he does, after he talks. A lot. And then he's captured. And then Yennefer leaves the boat. Now we've got another plot line. Dijkstra and this king plan on taking over Cintra because everybody wants Cintra, but they need an elven spy. Remember this guy? Once again, another plot line is added. This is Reince, locked up because fire magic is forbidden, probably because it's just too damn cool. He's hired as a bounty hunter in exchange for his freedom. This brings us to the present day. Jaskier tied to a chair, kidnapped by Reince in a public bar. There's sewers and dungeons everywhere, but I guess a public bar is the best place to torture a guy? Yeah, Reince tortures Jaskier for information on Geralt. Luckily, Yennefer shows up and saves the day. They arrive at the monolith, and yeah, it's toppled. I don't know why they had to travel all the way out here to see it. They figure out that the monsters are coming through the monolith, and that Yennefer is alive. Back at KAER Morhen, Vesemir wants to use Ciri to make more of the Witcher mutagen. Ciri agrees on the condition that she gets to be the first new Witcher. Vesemir says no, then changes his mind 5 minutes later. Triss doesn't like the idea, so they enter her memories to find out more about her lineage. Wait, you could have done this the whole time? Ciri's been asking this question about her lineage for 5 episodes now. Everybody has been asking that question, and this is the first time it's even brought up? What the fuck? Things go wrong, and then the Deathless Mother shows up, and then the Wild Hunt shows up because, reasons. Ciri screams out for Geralt, releasing another monster from the monolith, because anytime she screams, monsters come through the monolith. Triss rambles about the end of the world. Ciri takes off to get the mutagen. Vesemir is ready to inject her with it. Then Geralt shows up, and he's like, nah. Yennefer gets captured, by the way. In her head, the Deathless Mother taunts her moments before her execution. With no other escape, Yennefer succumbs to her calls. She's teleported to her hut where they make a trade. She can get her magic back if she brings Ciri to Cintra, because she wants Ciri now. If she wanted Ciri, why didn't she make a deal with the other two for Ciri? Fringilla works for Nilfgaard, and Nilfgaard was already searching for Ciri. Why did it have to wait 5 episodes until this deal was made? We start off hunting down the creature that came through the monolith in the previous episode. There's a tension between the two after Ciri tried taking the Trial of the Grasses. Ciri wants to be a fighter, and Geralt wants nothing more than for Ciri to be safe. So he takes her to hunt down this deadly creature, then Roach dies. That's it. It's sad. After killing the creature, Geralt takes Ciri to the Temple of Militelli, believing the grounds to be of neutrality, and allows her to practice controlling her powers. Yennefer followed Ciri, by the way. Somehow. I have no idea how she found her. They've only been here for 5 minutes and she's already been found. In the next room, she reunites with Geralt, then finds out that Ciri is his child surprise. Filavandrel offers up elves to serve for the Nilfgaardian army. Then Francesca goes into labor. Then there's a baby. There's always a baby. KAER reminds Fringilla that their purpose isn't to unite Nilfgaard and the elves, but to find Ciri. Back at the temple, Reince attacks, then flees. Then Yennefer kidnaps Ciri. Yennefer and Ciri portal to some house from the last season. She then tricks Ciri into believing Geralt was captured and brought to Cintra because, remember, Yennefer needs Ciri and Cintra to get her power back. With nobody left around him, Geralt seeks out help to find Ciri through Jaskier. Jaskier describes Yennefer's situation, allowing Geralt to figure out that she's in league with the Deathless Mother, the demon that the first Witchers imprisoned. Dara's not a spy anymore, by the way. The elves stopped training, by the way. The baby died, by the way. Before Yennefer can deliver her to the monolith, they share a teleconnect moment for some reason, and Ciri finds out about her true intentions. Then Ciri alerts the guards of their presence. Then Geralt shows up just at the right time to save them from the guards. He then makes Yennefer say the incantation to bring him to the Deathless Mother, but she's already gone by the time they get there. Nobody sees any of these sparks flying in the air, and Ciri gets possessed. The final episode starts off with Ciri in some kind of dreamland where Nilfgaard never invaded. Her grandmother's alive, her parents are alive, and Geralt never claimed his child surprise. In reality, Ciri is possessed and is killing Witchers. Despite the severity of the situation, Geralt stops to talk to Yennefer, I'm sure there's no rush. Geralt and Vesemir make a plan to stop Voleth MEIR. Not a real plan, though. Geralt just says he'll convince her, and that's it. That's the plan. Meanwhile, Yennefer and Jaskier make a potion very casually. Ciri might die. Witchers have died. Now he has to bring Geralt Jasper for some fake reason to keep him busy during the episode. Geralt tries to bargain for Ciri. It doesn't work. Voleth MEIR then breaks open the medallion tree, revealing another monolith. She opens a portal and 2 basilisks walk through. Despite all of her power, Voleth MEIR just stands there. Geralt bargains for her again. It doesn't work. Several of these witches die, then Geralt takes on one of these things by himself. Why can Geralt defeat these so easily while 15 witchers can't? Geralt gives a speech because I don't even know anymore. The speech doesn't work like the other 5 times he's tried it, so Yennefer sacrifices herself to be Voleth MEIR's host because that was always an option, I guess. Ciri then teleports them all to another spear because apparently that's what this demon wanted the whole time, to go home. Why didn't she just teleport home before? Why would she waste an entire episode to just stare at Geralt? Don't know. Geralt and Ciri go on the run because now they're being hunted. And that's it. That's the season. To describe the flaws in this narrative in one word is meaningless. That's the truth. This season of The Witcher is meaningless. Meaningless plot lines, meaningless choices, meaningless episodes. It's just meaningless. If I were to jot note all the key events in this season, I would end up with something like this. Ciri screams and wakes Voleth MEIR. Yennefer, Francesca, and Fringilla meet Voleth MEIR. Yennefer makes a deal to exchange Ciri. Yennefer kidnaps Ciri. Yennefer changes her mind. Voleth MEIR escapes. Ciri's possessed. Ciri is not possessed. They leave KAER MORHEN. 9 bullet points. That's all it takes. And the real catcher, 7 of these points happen within the last 3 episodes. That means that the first 5 episodes served essentially no purpose at all other than to fill in the gaps of this season. So what really happened in those episodes? Not all that much. The first episode, despite serving as the best episode of the season, is a prime example of filling the gaps. Outside of the first episode, Nibelheim is never mentioned, nor any of the events with Ciri and Geralt. The only moment in this episode that serves any sort of purpose is when Yennefer and Fringilla are captured at the end. And it's not just this episode that's to blame. This season is littered with small 1 episode, sometimes 2 episode long plot lines that don't add on to the central story at all. Let's take Eskel's death. We meet Eskel, he turns into a tree, then he dies. An episode later, Geralt and Vesemir feed him to the wolves, and that's it. The only ever purpose he serves past that is for Geralt and Ciri to follow her internal compass to the monster that turned him, just in time for them to witness its death at the hands of another creature that was heading towards Ciri anyways. But we can expand off of that, because now Geralt wants to find out why this monster was chasing after Ciri. So Geralt goes to the monolith just in time for another monster to escape, and then they leave. The only purpose this serves is so you understand Voleth MEIR's intentions with Ciri, which would normally be a good way to set it up if it weren't for the fact that when Voleth MEIR eventually does get to Ciri, all she does is stare at Geralt for 50 minutes. There are plenty more moments like this. The fire guy shows up, has a fight scene, then leaves. All the scenes with the Brotherhood, Dijkstra's storyline, the Nilfgaard storyline. Hell, Yennefer's whole selfish to selfless character arc was the exact same as the last season. At the end of the season, none of the characters are in much of a different place from when they started off, which brings me to elaborate, much of this season is spent with Ciri, learning about her powers and training at KAER MORHEN. Of course, Ciri was never really shown using her magic until episode 7 of the series, but surely all of her training went to good use. Except it didn't. She spends most of the season running besides one moment in episode 6 when she's told to stand still, and another moment in episode 7 when she was hardly able to fend off a Nilfgaardian soldier. But we didn't just spend all that time with her during training to see how much she's improved. Ciri is tough. No matter how many times she hits the ground, she always gets back up. We see this numerous times when she's training on the gauntlet or arguing with Geralt about how often she should be training. All of this sets up the foundation for one stellar character arc that we never got to see. Because at the end of the season, when Voleth MEIR has Ciri trapped in her fairy tale lands, after she spent a season fighting through the pain of losing everyone she'd ever known, after pushing herself despite everyone telling her not to, after she bled and bled again, she chooses not to fight. Despite Geralt and all the other witches pleading for her to fight off Voleth MEIR, Ciri doesn't. This exact choice not only destroyed the arc that Ciri had been building the entire season, but rendered several episodes of growth utterly pointless. But that's okay, because Yennefer could just become Voleth MEIR's host anyway.
Fuck! Oh, moron!
At the start of the season, Geralt and Ciri were fleeing from Nilfgaard, and this is exactly where we end. What have our characters learned? That Ciri has powers they cannot begin to comprehend? Or is it that the Wild Hunt wants Ciri? One of which we had already known from the previous season. If the season were to have built up to a proper conclusion, if it really wanted to accomplish something that would have had an impact on the story itself, it would have to look no further than the episode that had no pull in the events of the season itself. The best episode of the season, the very first episode. In this episode, there's a scene where Nivellen tells Ciri's story about an elven sorceress that falls in love with a human mage. These are Ciri's ancestors. This is the answer that Ciri spends over half the season looking for. If the season really wanted to write a meaningful story, it should have shifted its main focus to searching for these answers. Diving into this story would have answered so many of the season's questions, like why Ciri is being hunted, where she got her powers, why Voleth MEIR wants her. It would have allowed Ciri to play a more proactive role in the season and would have cut out all the other subplots that adding nothing at all. But that's not what we got. It said Vesemir picks a flower and now we know her entire lineage because she entered a dream. And now I want to talk about the things I liked. Henry Cavill is basically Geralt and Freya Allan is pretty. Despite all of the flaws, The Witcher still remains one of my favorite stories of all time. However, its lack of anything of importance happening into the plot and creating a story that could have been solved in less than 5 hours is questionable. I guess we'll see where this story leads. Much like the previous season, Season 3 was greenlit before the second one was released. Let me know what you think in the comments. If you think I'm right, or by chance you think I'm wrong, I'm curious to see what you guys have to say about the season. What do you hope will come from Season 3? Don't forget to like and subscribe if that's something that you're into, and thanks for watching.